Welcome to Run With It, a show on running, fitness, and health. On today's show, we have coverage of the Mustache Miler, a 5K event to help raise awareness for men's health, plus coverage of the Canadian Cross Country Championships. And we're in conversation with Tim James, an avid runner who is host of his own radio show called Running 101. So stay tuned. But first, let's go to our in-studio interview with Sean Graham, former BC Lions player who shares one of his healthy recipes, smoothies. Yummy. Welcome to Run With It, a show on running, fitness, and health. With me in the studio is a very special guest. He is a former first-round Canadian Football League draft pick who went on to a 7-year CFL career as a receiver with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and the BC Lions, winning a Grey Cup with the Lions in 2000. Since retiring from football, he has become a certified strength and conditioning specialist. He's the Lions team chiropractor and has worked with Skate Canada, the National Track and Field Team, and the 2010 Winter Olympics. I'm speaking of Sean Graham. Actually, Dr. Sean Graham. Welcome to Run With It, Sean.
Thanks,
I
Christine.
want to say that your resume is very impressive, and I haven't mentioned everything here. But today, we're going to see another side of you, the culinary side. We're going to make smoothies. So welcome again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, what kind of smoothies are we going to make?
Today we're going to make chocolate, banana, peanut butter smoothies. This is a drink that I made a lot when I was playing football, and I still make it now after I've been doing training, or even for breakfast in the morning when I don't have that much time. So I'll whip this up. It takes about 4 or 5 minutes to make. So it's a great drink. A lot of good nutritional ingredients in it, and again, like I said, it's easy to make.
Can you make it the night before?
You can, but I find it's probably best if you make it right away and drink it right away. It's one of those things where we do have ice in it and that, so it gives it a little bit of consistency that way. So it's probably best to drink it at the time you make it. Yeah.
So let's run with it.
Okay, sure. All right. So to start, what I usually do is I'll put the ice cubes in first, just like that. So it's about a cup of ice cubes in there, and then it's about a cup of milk. It depends. If you want to use 2%. If you're on more of a low-fat sort of diet, you can use skim milk if you want. It's totally up to you.
What about almond milk?
Yeah, almond milk. If you're not into dairy, that's fine too. Almond milk, I'll just put that over there.
Do you want some help here? And what's next?
Sure, you can do the peanut butter. That'd be great.
Sticky.
Yeah, and then I usually put one banana in. It can be, depending on how you want to control your calorie intake. You can use a small banana or a large one. Banana is a great source of potassium, as we all know. Then what we usually do is you can go ahead and put that peanut butter in. Now let's get the whey protein ready here.
And this can be almond butter. It doesn't have to be peanut butter.
Yeah, you can use almond butter. It's just a good source of some calories, and yeah, you can just dump it in there. It's a little bit sticky.
Now, how much fat is in here?
There's probably about 8 grams.
Is that okay?
8 to 10 grams of fat in it. Yeah, that's probably good. About a tablespoon of peanut butter is fine. Yeah, so that's great. And then I usually put about 1 scoop of this whey protein. The whey protein is a really good source, obviously, of protein. And the protein that I like to look for in a brand is one that's not sweetened with a bunch of artificial sweeteners. So we look for a stevia sweetener, which is a natural sweetener. I'm not a big fan of the artificial sweeteners like aspartame and that. So
stevia is a natural sweetener.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I usually put a little bit of this. It's called glutamine. It's amino acid, and it's really good for recovery. So we usually just put about 5 grams of that. So it comes with a little scoop like this, and we usually just put 1 little scoop in. It's about 5 grams of that. And it's a really good, like I said, really good for recovery, helping the muscles recovering after a run or a workout. And it's also good for your immune system. It's an immune booster. So
because I'm reading it there, improves muscle repair.
Yeah. So that's it's great to add that. I usually add that in. So that's it. So we just put those ingredients in, and then we'll blend it up here. Usually, I'll start on kind of a low kind of mix, and then I'll increase it to like a liquefy. That should do the trick. And then we usually we'll take that off there, and we'll just bring those glasses out here, and we'll pour them in there. Try not to spill here. There we go.
Oh, it looks nice and thick.
Yeah.
And
there you go.
would you suggest having that like after a run or before? Like how?
I would say usually I have mine after.
After?
Because when you blend it up like this, it does create a lot of air bubbles in the drink itself. So having it before might cause some gastric distress and indigestion in that regard if you go drink it and then go for a run or something. So I find it works best if you do drink it afterwards. Usually you want to have a recovery drink within half an hour to an hour of your exercise routine or your run, or if you're going to the gym and that.
Now, how did you discover this smoothie? I mean, you said you
I've probably read about it, and I like things that are simple. And then I've kind of tweaked it to kind of fit what I need, which is, some extra protein and the glutamine and that. So, yeah.
Oh, surely the recipes. Should we try it?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Yeah. So you can taste those.
You can taste the banana.
Yeah, and the peanut butter and the little bit of chocolate from the protein powder. So.
It's delicious.
Yeah.
So having a smoothie after a run is great. And is there anything else? Like talk about your training and your
usually I train about 4 days a week. Go to the gym, do a bit of running. I like to golf too, so that's a good walk. So it's about 4.5 hours of walking. So
Yes.
and I like to do yoga. Do yoga once or twice a week, so that's usually my typical routine. Yeah.
And now, do you still run? Like you're
Yeah, I do run, probably about twice a week. I used to run marathons, but no longer.
Yes.
It's a big time commitment, so usually I still like to go for a half-hour run a couple of days a week. So yeah, I enjoy running too.
So let's go back to how do you follow describe a typical day for you for your fitness. Like you get up at 5:30.
It depends on what my work schedule is. So I'll typically a couple of days a week I'll work out in the morning before work, and then a couple of days a week I'll work out after work. So it just depends on when my work schedule is. So typically I'll work out 4 days a week, twice in the morning, or 2 days in the morning, 2 days in the evening. Yeah.
And then right now you are Dr. Sean Graham.
Yeah.
And you own your own chiropractic business. So tell me a little bit about that.
We have a multidisciplinary practice. So we have 8 of us in the practice now. We have 2 chiropractors, 3 massage therapists. We have an acupuncturist. We also have a dietitian and a clinical counselor. So there's quite a number of us in there. And we focus on all sorts of conditions and that. We're located in Steveston, which is a great community, a very health conscious community. So we've been there for about 12 years now, and it's been a lot of fun. Our patients are great, the community is great. I just love working there. It's just a great location.
That's awesome. That's wonderful. Now I want to see your Grey Cup ring.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
So
first, I'll put it just straight.
Yeah, I mean
right there.
that's really good. And how has football, since you played football, how has it changed? Technically.
Well, the guys have gotten bigger. They've gotten
Yes.
faster. That's probably the biggest thing that I've noticed is just the speed and the size of the players. Everything else is pretty much the same though. Football pretty much hasn't changed a whole lot over a century. So
Yeah. So I mean, your diet has changed over the years since you played football, right?
Right.
So what would you eat when you were playing professionally?
I eat pretty much the same that I do
Same.
now. I try to eat really healthy. The only difference is I eat less.
Yes.
Yeah. So I probably weigh about 20 pounds less than I did when I was playing. It's just a matter of the amount of volume of exercise that you're doing while you're playing. You're practicing for 2 to 3 hours a day, and then you're hitting the gym and the weights So in terms of your general activity level, it's greater. So your caloric intake has to be greater too. So that's probably the main reason why that is. Yeah.
And Sean, do you coach football?
Yeah, I coach at Hugh Boyd Secondary in Richmond. We're the only high school football program left in.
Wow.
Yeah, in Richmond. So it's I coach the receivers there, and they're a lot of fun this year. We're doing fairly well. We're undefeated this year so far, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I've been doing that for about 11 or 12 years.
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned this here.
Mm-hmm.
Now this is good to have for muscle repair.
Yeah.
So if you're working out, a runner, that would be good to have. And
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the glutamine, I'll add it to my drink, and generally it's amino acid, helps with recovery and your immune system and that. So. Yeah, it's.
So, is there anything that people don't know about you, Sean?
I don't think so.
I mean, your resume says a lot. You
Yeah.
know, it's amazing. Yeah. And so, the Grey Cup is coming. What will you be doing?
I'll just be enjoying it this year. Sometimes if the Lions are in it, I work with them.
Yes.
But this year I'm just going to be a fan. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And the Grey Cup's here in Vancouver, so it's going to be a lot of. Usually what I do is I'll invite a few friends in from out of town, and we try to get together every year at Grey Cup. So it's kind of a reunion of sorts. So,
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So with going back to coaching, I mean,
Yeah.
do you tell them any dietary requirements to the players, or do you?
Well, sometimes we'll bring in a nutritionist to talk to them, but high school kids are generally they'll eat what they want. But we try to encourage them that they eat healthy and make sure they're drinking lots of water and that during practice and that. So yeah, we try to encourage the healthy behaviors with the kids. Yeah.
Do you have any, sweetness? Do you like chips, cookies? I know this is chocolate chips.
Yeah.
So this would be your treat?
Yeah, this would be a treat for me. Yeah. I don't eat a lot of sweets, so this is kind of a treat for me. Yeah. For sure.
And anything else, like any other, if it's not a smoothie, do you like we suggest eating a lot of fruit if you don't like a smoothie?
Yeah. Fruit is a great source of a lot of the nutrients that are in this shake, like potassium, sodium, that sort of thing. So we try to, this shake you can add things as you want. So if you like raspberries or strawberries, feel free to put it in too. You can be creative with this sort of thing. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
And what's it called again?
Chocolate peanut butter banana smoothie.
Sounds yummy.
Yeah.
Sounds yummy. And, for people, if you're a runner and you get injured, right? I mean, you deal with injuries.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you would suggest, including this, to help prevent injuries?
Well, yeah, I don't know necessarily prevent, but it helps maintain a healthy body, and in that regard, it helps with, reducing the risk of injury. So you're not necessarily going to prevent it, but you can definitely reduce your risk of injury. Yeah.
Now, as a chiropractor, what injuries are prone to runners?
Well, you see a lot of lower extremity injuries, so like shin splints, iliotibial band syndrome, which is pain on the outside part of the knee. Sometimes you will have lower back injuries too, but you don't really see that a lot in runners, but usually lower extremity, yeah.
How important is cross-training?
Cross-training is something that I find a lot of runners kind of underuse, because it does help to take the stresses off the normal areas of the body that are generally stressed a lot when you're running. Because when you're running, you're only using certain muscles repetitively over time. So when you cross-train, you take the stress off those areas, but you're able to maintain your cardiovascular fitness that you've increased while you've been running. So cross-training is very important. Yeah.
Now, I heard about stretching.
Yeah.
Is it a myth to stretch before or after? When should you stretch?
I recommend stretching after. I recommend doing more of a dynamic sort of workout or warm-up when you're about to go for a run. So I generally tell people save their stretching for afterwards, after the runs. Yeah.
So, if you're training for a marathon, how much rest should you have? Should you have like a week's rest before the run, like the big day?
I would recommend probably a week, you're tapering off towards a big run, so you want to reduce the volume, the mileage that you're doing. That's what I would generally recommend.
But it's hard to rest, you know.
Yeah. I mean, tell people, that's where cross training can come in and can help with that. So.
Because you do yoga, you play golf.
Yeah.
You still run a bit, right?
Yeah.
So what is your favorite marathon?
Well, I've only done 2, so
okay.
Let's say Vancouver.
Vancouver?
Yeah.
Both in Vancouver?
Yeah, both in Vancouver. Yeah, I've done both in Vancouver.
And if someone was to train for a marathon, any tips?
Make sure you have lots of time.
Yes.
Make sure you look after your nutrition, and you make sure you look after your recovery. So make sure that you get enough sleep. Make sure that you're doing a proper warm up, proper cool down, and again making sure you're getting the nutrition. So doing having these energy drinks afterwards, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Listen to your body, and if you think you have an injury, see someone.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Thank you, Sean.
You're welcome.
It was Ready, Set, and Mow last month at the Mustache Miler held in Stanley Park. Over 300 participants took part to help raise awareness for men's health.
3, 2, 1.
It's a 5K 3-mile run. We've got age categories from 6 years old to 70. We got a lot of people coming in here. Plus, we also have a new skateboard longboard division, and it is the first time that the Parks Board has ever sanctioned this in Vancouver, so we're really excited to have all of our skaters.
We're trying to bring awareness to men's health, prostate cancer, testicular cancer, and for mental health also. And it's basically just to bring the awareness so people will just start talking about it, and to know that it's nothing to be ashamed of. It's just something you got to take care of, and if you do it sooner than later, chances are really good for you.
As a mother of 2 boys, men's health obviously is long term. It's not just men in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. We have to think of men's health starting from 18 onwards as being something that we have to keep an eye on and teaching them, I need help.
Our next guest is Tim James, an avid runner who also hosts his own radio show called Running 101. He shared with me his passion for running and what the show is all about. Tim, when did you start running?
I think it was back when I was 18 years old. It was 2007 at the time. I went out to Alberta and I was with family, and just for that weekend there was a run. And my family suggested, hey, if you want something to do, it's just a small town in Alberta, so not a lot to do there. And they said, just go do this run and see how you do. And it was a 5K, and I remember finishing it, Christine. And at the time, I was really disappointed in myself because it was a 5K, and I was beaten up, I was tired, and I'm seeing people whiz right by me. So that was my first taste of running, and then I kind of got hooked after that. A lot it has to do with my family in Alberta, actually. They love running, and in 2008 they came out to Vancouver to do the marathon and half marathon here that year. So I decided, why not try a half marathon? I kind of caught the bug doing that 5K in 2007, so 2008 I signed up for my first half marathon. Now, I think that was my best half marathon ever, and I don't know, because this was at the time when the running chip, you actually had to attach to your shoe using one of the zap straps. And I guess my first half marathon, I wasn't prepared. I didn't fully attach the zap strap to the running chip, so by the time I crossed the finish line, there's no timing chip. And forever the records will show that I did not finish that 2008 half marathon. So I kind of kicked myself because when I looked at the time, there's the gun time, of course, right? That doesn't match with the chip, but just the actual gun time. It was an hour 45, about that. And I think that would be my personal best. Problem is, I'll never know. I'll never know for sure if that actually was my best run ever. But I'm pretty sure it would be.
And that was your first half marathon?
That was my first half marathon, and then after that, I really got hooked on half marathons. So I didn't do my first full marathon until 2012.
Which do you prefer? I mean, do you prefer marathons, 10Ks, halves? I know you kind of said, well, I love halves, but is that...
My favorite is actually the half marathon. I like it. It takes about, an hour 45 to 2 hours to do. And the best part is when you're training for it, it's manageable. You can fit in those training runs that you have to do, which are, your 10K, your 8K, maybe 7K of hills, right? It's when you're training for a marathon, the reason I don't like the marathon as much is it takes a lot of training. Sometimes when you have to do those 32K runs on a Sunday, and you have to do them slowly. To do the run, to shower before and eat before, and then, shower after, and just get that whole process done, that's about 6 hours out of your day. So that's a lot of time. So I usually do about one marathon a year and one half marathon a year, and then there's a few other races I might do, a 10K or a 5K, whatever comes up.
Well, what's next for you, Tim?
Half marathon I'm working on. It's at the end of November. It's around Stanley Park. I do a couple laps around Stanley Park. Vancouver Historic Half, I think is what it's called. Next marathon, which I'm thinking, I'll probably do Vancouver, but still to be determined for sure.
Yes, and so what other sports do you do?
Volleyball, as much as I can. So it's a little different working the job that I do. I'm an evening show anchor, so my hours are basically I get into work at 5 p.m. and I get out of work at midnight. So joining any volleyball clubs has been kind of tough since I moved back to Vancouver to do much of that. But when I can, I play volleyball. With friends, flag football, I try to play that as much as I can. But for the most part, my main sport is running because essentially you can run on your own. You don't need other people to join you to run. So at least running's convenient with my hours.
And that's what you like most about running?
Yeah, it's almost, I like running because I'm lazy in a sense, and I don't need other people. It's easy enough just to wake up, and the first thing I think is shorts, t-shirt, shoes. Okay, I can do that, and I'll go out for an hour and come back, and that's my exercise for the day. It's done. It's nice and easy. I didn't need a ball. I didn't need a team or anything like that. I'm really accountable to myself, so I like how convenient running is.
So tell us about your running show called Running 101.
Yeah, Running 101. So that's a weekly radio feature, and it's basically I do two versions of a topic. And those interviews, those features will run Sunday mornings typically. And not only here in Vancouver, actually, we have sister stations in Toronto, Ottawa, Calgary, Halifax, and they'll all occasionally pick up the show as well. So what that is I typically speak with John Stanton, founder of The Running Room, very popular voice. Yes. And the reason I chat with him is because it's not so much a local feature. Because stations right across the country pick up Running 101, I want to have somebody that's a voice for Canada, not necessarily just Vancouver. So I typically talk to John, and you probably know he's a fountain of wisdom when it comes to running. And we talk about different topics. Maybe my favorite topic was, what's the difference if you train for a marathon in Calgary and you run it in Vancouver? And apparently, because of the elevation difference, if you're training in Calgary and you run it in Vancouver, you can shave about 7 minutes off your expected marathon time just because you're going down in elevation. It's a little bit easier. Other topics, how much water should you drink before a run? Even he's got into how to inspect your urine to see if you're drinking enough water. He talks about all sorts of running things, and it's usually basic, but other times we'll cover maybe something that's a little more topical. The Beijing Marathon, a lot of pollution recently, so we talked about will we ever have to worry about that in Canada, in Vancouver, Toronto, the bigger cities. Do they have pollution concerns, or do we have pollution concerns if we run races here? And so he discussed that. So anything that's topical or just basic running knowledge, he'll share.
And when can we listen to it?
It typically airs Sunday mornings.
Yes.
Now, I can't give an exact time because News 1130, we're 24-hour stations. So if something's going on, I can't promise you that that feature will air. But typically, it's on Sunday mornings, about once an hour. And as I mentioned, it'll air Vancouver and right across Canada.
So Tim, your running radio show is really great to have because running in Vancouver is so big.
Absolutely. The seawall, anywhere really, Grouse Grind, there's so many places you can be active, obviously in Vancouver. And then John Stanton, I asked him one of the questions of Running 101, what is the greatest Canadian running city? And sure enough, he answers Vancouver. Wow. So I was pretty proud about that, and he discussed what goes into why Vancouver is such a great running city. And then I believe he said Ottawa was number 2 and Moncton was number 3. So I'll have to go back and listen to the reasons why Ottawa and Moncton, but it was kind of cool to hear Vancouver is the running capital of Canada, at least according to the Running Room founder.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I want to thank you very much, Tim, for coming on the show, and I'd like to have you come back.
Absolutely, it was a lot of fun.
Last month, the Canadian Cross Country Championships took place in Jericho Beach. Run With It was there to cover it.
Runners running in the National Cross Country Championships. It's Athletics Canada's, culmination of a hard season of cross country for all our top runners across the country. And I'm looking forward to our Olympic athletes and some of our top athletes that represent Canada, that are aiming for Pan Ams and for World Championships next year, and then eventually for Rio 2016. They're here and racing, so let's get out and cheer for them later this afternoon.
Let's go! Daniel!
This is going to be a really good race, ladies and gentlemen. The junior women are very strong.
Cross country is about all sorts of different conditions, so that's definitely today. Snow and sun and mud all in one.
Oh, I'm just so excited to be here. Cross country is just near and dear to my heart. So as a former athlete, as a coach, and just as a general love of the sport, I'm here to support in any way that I can.
Please put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks for watching. If you have a question or comment on today's show, please go to our website on the screen. Until next time, run with it.